What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream. And today, man, I am super excited to do this video. We're going to be making a couple of blockbuster trades in our favor to try to do some buying here, because if you'll notice, we are at the top of the AL Central. We have gone on a hot streak in the last couple weeks or so. We're 8-2 in our last 10 and kind of taking a little control of the AL Central. You see that we are a little bit behind some of the other leaders in the American League, but I'm going to try to make up some ground right now. We are sitting at the 14th ranked team, but we definitely need to get better. So I worked out a couple of trades here, and I'll tell you guys in a second what I thought some of our needs were. But first, as always, let's go to the All-Star voting, and I can show you some of the guys who made the All-Star team. So we did have our first starting pitcher ever from this franchise make it to the All-Star game, Tyler Mahle, who was having a phenomenal season out there. Gotta be honest, if anybody would have been here, I would have pegged more Walker Buehler. But I guess, Tyler Mahle's like, nah, I'm going to show out as well. And I just want to mention, I love how Martin Perez decides to just troll us by having a just boss of a season. The year after it, we tried to, have him give a good year so we can flip him at the deadline. So that's really appreciative of that. But he did get hot down the stretch of the second half of the season. So this is not too surprising to see that he's continued that into this year. Another guy who made it, and I don't even know how, but apparently Cedric Mullins made it. He has picked up his play in the last couple weeks as he's gotten scorching hot. Just take a quick look at the roster for us. Everybody's kind of started to get cooking right now that was kind of struggling, so I'm really happy to see that. We did get Oswald Peraza back, and he has continued to hit well. So really overall happy with how everybody has kind of started to settle in. So another thing I wanted to mention is we did DFA Josiah Gray. His ERA was like 6.25. His FIP was bad. I got tired of messing with him. I'm having some trouble in my bullpen this year, but there was just some other guys like Jackson Kowar, who was pitching really well at AAA, who has stepped up again into the majors this season and pitched really well, that I just didn't want to keep messing with Josiah Gray anymore. We also did pick up a couple injuries because, of course, it's been that kind of season. Diego Hernandez tore his ACL, so he is out for the rest of the season. This is kind of sad because he was really starting to show that he belonged at this level. So you look at his slash line, very impressive, and not a small amount of at-bats either, 105 at-bats. So it remains to be seen if we're going to bring him back, coming off of an ACL injury. He's kind of a, speed guy, so that's pretty important for him. So I don't know. We might need a fourth outfielder going forward, though, so I might like to keep him. And then another guy I want to mention is not somebody I would normally mention, but it's just kind of not funny, but kind of funny. I did bring up Otto Lopez because I needed somebody to kind of step in and fill a utility role. And the first freaking day he was up, he broke his hand. So that's just literally been our injury luck this season. One more roster note before we get to the trades. I did actually end up converting Beck Way to a full-time relief pitcher. I was hesitant to do it because I thought he could possibly still fill some type of a starting role for us. But with some of the trades I'm going to be making at this deadline, he kind of was phased out of any shot of being in the rotation. So I just decided to commit long-term to putting him in the bullpen, and he's continued to pitch very well as the season went on. So, as you can probably tell, because of what I just said of he's going to be kind of phased out of the bullpen because of our moves, I thought one of our main needs was starting pitcher. Specifically, I wanted to go after the left-handed starting pitcher. Another need I wanted was I feel like we could use one more nice bat in our lineup. Right-handed bat would be preferred because there's so many lefties in my lineup already, and somebody who plays the outfield would be preferred, but anybody who could really just DH is somebody I wanted to target. And then I also wanted somebody to kind of help shore up the back of my bullpen. I got that. And then one more bench guy. So that's what I went on targeting, and let's get to the trades now. So the first trade I'm going to be setting is Ben Kudrna. I did finally learn how to say it. And because I was trading him, I jumped into a AAA game and just to kind of see, what it felt like pitching with him. And man, he was actually kind of fun to pitch with. He's got a nasty slider. So after that, I was a little bit disappointed to send him away, but I got some pretty good options around him. I'm also going to be sending one of the top 50 prospects in all of baseball, Gabriel Gonzalez. We did move him to right field because the team we're sending him to would probably use him in right field. He also profiles well as a right fielder as well, so no reason why to keep him in left field. And he has 86 potential as well. So couple of good potential guys. And then the third guy I'm going to be sending here is going to be Glider Figueroa. Not great potential, but he does have 76 potential. And the team I'm going to be sending those guys to is the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm going to be going again Dylan Carlson. So a 27-year-old switch hitter, hits lefties really well, which is important for my lineup. Pretty good franchise to this point, outside of a poor 23 and 24. Likes to take walks, decent contact numbers. So also a really good defender. So that's good for us. I'm going to put him into right field because we've already got a good defender in center field with Cedric Mullins. So how this trade works for them is obviously since they're losing Dylan Carlson, they're going to be another outfielder, but they do need a long-term right fielder, so that's where Gabriel Gonzalez comes in. Plus, he's really high potential. Actually, I think higher potential than Dylan Carlson, who I think is maxed out at that 85, so that's a good get for them. They do need some pitching help as well. They don't have a lot of younger guys with good potential, so you see Ben Kudrna should be into the rotation end of this year, start of next year, and then Glider Figueroa. They do have a couple of good. I don't know why they have Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman both. It makes no conceivable sense whatsoever, but I'm looking right past that because regardless, they're going to need some sort of a young third baseman to take over in the future, and Figueroa fits that mold. So I'm going to be pulling off that trade, and that is a very good start to this trade deadline. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be trading with is the where are they? Los Angeles Angels. And I need a left-handed starter, and I went for the young stud lefty Reed Detmers. He is maxed out on his potential. He has 1 year of arbitration left, but I think that the Angels would be still ripe to move him. They're kind of in entering a rebuilding mode. They need to kind of jumpstart that. I could have went for Patrick Sandoval, but I really wanted Detmers because I want to try to extend him. Like his overall makeup, like his repertoire as well. His season this year hasn't been great, but his FIP and his component area are not too bad. And you see, he's been pretty consistent throughout this franchise. So I'm going to go get him. And so the trade I wanted to offer them won't go through, and I don't know why, but I'm going to make sure that they get good enough value. So I'm going to send our first-round draft pick from last year, Douglas Yabu, who I pitched with in a Double-A game, and he's got some control issues, but he has some pretty nasty stuff, so he could definitely turn into something special, but I'm okay trading him away. And as I told you guys a couple episodes ago, I don't mind trading my draft picks too much. I have a little less attachment to them than a guy like Frank Mazzucato. I want to try to avoid trading him because he's a real prospect. I like to try to keep him around. But so that'll be the first piece is, hold on, let me look at this real quick. So it's going to be Douglas Yabu, and then we're going to be setting the second baseman we acquired at the deadline last year, Jose Salas. And then we're going to be sending Caden Wallace. Now, for some reason, this trade doesn't work. I feel like it's pretty good value, but okay, fine. It doesn't work there. But if I somehow take Douglas Yabu out of the equation and give them, say, Pedro Velasquez, who is a 72 potential, it works. I don't get why that's how the game values those two players. It makes absolutely no sense, but you know what? Whatever. I'm actually going to give them still Douglas Yabu because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping them off. But in order to get the trade to go through first, I have to send Pedro Velasquez. So the reason this trade makes sense is they definitely need some younger starting pitchers with some good potential. They do need a second baseman. As you can see, they don't really have anybody for their future here. And they do need a long-term option at third base as well. And then, so I'm going to send this trade through. And there's actually something I forgot to do real quick. So pardon me as I go do this real fast. I do need to, I did have injuries on manual already, so I can do this quickly. I do need to take Drew Waters off. He has 3 to 4 weeks left. Let's see, how much time does he have left? He's got 23 days left, so I'll have to remember that because I can't trade Waters, but even though in real life you would actually be able to trade Drew Waters, I don't know why the game is so restrictive on trading injured players. But I'm going to be sending Douglas Yabu and Drew Waters to the Angels for a completely unbalanced trade. It took this combination just to get Pedro Velasquez back. It's I don't understand why the game is valuing him so much. I thought he was going to have like crazy high potential. He doesn't. He has 72 potential. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, we'll send him back there. I'll have to remember to re-injure Drew Waters for about 25 days or something like that in a minute here. So that is the second of our 2 blockbuster trades. Now we're going to try to just finish acquiring a couple of more guys to round out our team. So like I said, we needed some bullpen help. And I scoured the league, and I found quite a few relievers I liked, but I kind of honed in on Rowan Wick. He's had a pretty good franchise. He's closed games this year, which is good. I was looking for a guy who could be a closer because Ryan Stanek hasn't been great. And he's been very consistent with his FIP and his component ERA. And to get this trade done, I'm going to be sending one of our stud, well, not stud because he's kind of struggled, Prelander Baroa. Only 25 years old, but he does have like 79 potential still. So this is a nice get for the Cubs going forward because he's only going to be 26 next year. And I have confidence that he's going to bounce back. He did have a pretty good season last year. Not quite sure what happened this year. Just kind of weird numbers all over across the board. But I'll be sending him. And then to complete this trade, I'm going to be sending Carter Jensen. This trade makes sense for them because the Cubs actually kind of need a younger catcher. Carter Jensen's only 22 years old. Only has like 74 potential, but a guy that could fit in nicely for them going forward. A little left-handed bat, decent defense. I don't really have a use for him going forward because I have both Melendez and Drew Romo, so I'm not too worried about sending him away and pretty happy to shore up my bullpen with Rowan Wick. And then one final trade, I wanted a bench guy with a little bit of speed. I was looking for a right-hander because I got a lefty in Nick Gordon. I actually found a guy who is a switch hitter. So this can be the second switch hitter I am acquiring. And the Mariners are not in contention right now. And they got a nice little outfielder by the name of Sam Haggerty who can play multiple positions, which is something I was looking for as well. Plays good defense at those positions, runs pretty well. See, those stealing numbers are up at 98. And hits lefties pretty well. So this is a pretty good guy for me. And I'm going to be sending Dale Hall, who has been admittedly very bad, but he started to pitch very well in a consistent relief role. So I think that for a guy who's entering free agency anyways, they probably won't want to bring back because they got pretty good outfield talent anyways. Dale Hall is a guy they would love to take a chance on. I also, to put this over the top, I'm going to send them a young left fielder by the name of Samuel Munoz. This was the guy we brought in as an undrafted free agent. He's got like 72 potential or something like that, so nothing crazy, but decent bat, young at 21 years old, and somebody I think that the Mariners are happy to acquire for a rental player in Sam Haggerty. So that's going to be it for the moves that I make. So I am actually going to go straight to extending Dylan Carlson and Reed Detmers because that was one of the things I wanted to do after I brought them in because they're younger guys and I think they're going to want to be, we're entering a contention window right now. So they're going to be guys who might be excited to be on a roster that's contending going forward. Also, a little storyline that kind of fits with this is we are just about to enter the 2027 season next season, and that is estimated to be one of the dates, either 2027 or 2028, when the Royals are going to open their new home stadium. So that's kind of a nice little storyline for like, oh, teams want to play in a new stadium. This should be a growing market team. Patrick Mahomes is around, and he I think he co-owns the team. He owns like a certain share or whatever. So players are going to want to start playing for the Kansas City Royals. And you see that Dylan Carlson kind of likes this. He's going to get a star role and a top-tier coaching staff. And then Reed Detmers, he just wants a rotation spot. That's all he cares about. But anyways, I'm going to go jump off screen real quick and kind of shake out our roster. I'll sign these guys to extensions, and then I will be back and show you what we're looking at going forward, and we'll check out the draft picks. All right, see y'all in a minute. All right, we are back. I basically had to rebuild my entire AAA roster because there were so many guys from it that it just disappeared. Specifically, my lineup had to be like just rebuilt completely from scratch. So that's it. Took a little while, but we are back, and hey, we are now a top 10 team in all of baseball. You see that we have really improved our pitching. We are really good in the contact. Our power still needs some work, but I'm pretty excited. So this is going to be our lineup going forward. I like Dylan Carlson in that 2-hole with his discipline and his contact numbers. Bobby Witt down here in the 6-hole. You know, you like to see your superstar be hitting a little higher, but you know what? Right now I'm okay with it. We'll see what we do in future years. But yeah, that's what we're running with now in our lineups. You see our bull. I do like kind of the makeup of our bench. We got a couple of good guys who can do some multiple positions, run decently, hit righty well, hit a lefty well, or flip those two. And then our bullpen is going to be looking like this. I'm sorry, our rotation is going to be looking like this. Detmers is going to pound into the 4 there, and Taj Bradley staying at the 5. I did move Noah Cameron to the bullpen role. He's been pitching better than Taj Bradley, but long term, I still think Taj Bradley is going to be a better pitcher, and I didn't want to rely on Cameron too hard going into the season. But at this going long run, but I am pretty happy. I'm definitely not sending him back down. He's definitely proven he can stay here and belong, so I'm happy to keep him around. So I did tell you guys I was going to extend Reed Detmers and Dylan Carlson, so let's go take a look at those contracts. So we signed him to a 5-year extension worth, let me do the math real quick. That is $77.5 million, I believe. So yeah, I quite like this. I probably could have given him, well, no, I'm glad I kept it as a flat rate. We're going to be overpaying him a little bit in 2027, but should get a pretty affordable rate from here on out. So we are going to have him through his age 32 season. And then for Dylan Carlson, we gave him a little bit longer of a contract because I was a little bit happier to keep him around instead of a pitcher, because I feel like pitchers can come and go, but hitters, usually pretty consistent and solid. We did give him a 6-year extension worth, oh boy, I'm gonna have to do the math on that real quick. I didn't write these down like I should have. $87 million exactly. So he's going to be around until his age 34 season. He might get one small contract after that. So I am happy to have these two guys locked up. I'm probably going to extend Pasquantino at some point, maybe this offseason. We do have Mullins locked up for a few more years. Bobby Witt's on a decent contract for a few more years. So we are pushing up against our budget. See, what are we at? We're at 142 million right now. I was kind of projecting maybe 170 million should be where I want to max out as, but this actually isn't even getting me to 170 million. The way I did that is I kind of looked at the current MLB salaries, and the league average is right around 170. And I think with a new stadium on tap and kind of a growing market, that Kansas City could probably be somewhere around an average spending team. Currently, they're like bottom 5, but I think that there is some sense to them possibly becoming an average spending team. So I'm going to cap myself out around that 170, but it looks like the budget won't let me go any higher than that. So I should be good. So final thing I want to show you guys is the draft picks, and a little bit of disappointment. David Scott was not good at all. Somebody lied to me in my scouting department. I'm pretty upset about that. I can't remember who I used to scout him. I did have one scout who wasn't great at scouting hitters, so it's possible that I accidentally had him scout David Scott twice, and this is why I ended up with this. So yeah, that sucks, but I did get a nice second-round pick in Chris Vigna, so I'm pretty excited about this kid. Overall, great makeup with some good speed, so this was a really good pick. Probably could have just flip-flopped and drafted him first, would have been okay, so he's going to have 80 potential. Darren Hawley had a lot lower potential than I was hoping. I was hoping he would end up with something in like the high B range, so after I took off those 4 points, he'd stay like mid-C. He's only going to be a 71 potential, so this wasn't great. Alexi Valdez is going to be 80 potential, but he's very far away, already 22 years old. Don't love that. I do give these guys a floor of 50 overall, so these guys all drafted down here are all below 50, but they will be 50 overalls. Trent Gann will be a 77 potential, so that's interesting at 18 years old. We did draft a lot of high schoolers, which is fine. I kind of want to reload the farm system for the long run, so drafting some younger guys was a nice approach in my opinion. John Gaines at third base, kind of like what he can do, so he'll be a 73 potential. And then Philip Chen, kind of took a blind shot on him. His overall close enough to 50 where I feel like I'm not gaming the system too much. And yeah, he's going to be an 86 potential. So a couple of nice shortstop drafted here. Not too disappointed with this draft. I did look around and look at some of the first round draft picks, and most of the guys that were available come my slot weren't very good. A couple of teams severely whiffed, like the Padres drafting a 64 potential. And I think the Pirates even, let's go check that. The Pirates had drafted first overall a 72 potential in Cedric Shell. So that was a huge swing and a miss for them. So can't be too disappointed with our overall draft in the end of it. So Anyways, that is all I have for this episode. I'm probably going to play another game or two. I might do a double A special because all of my international free agent prospects are down there. So I might do an episode for that. Maybe end of August. Currently, the catcher I had, Antonio Munoz, is still out for 1 to 2 months with a broken hand. So I want to try to see if I can get him back into the lineup before I do that episode. So anyways, in the meantime, between time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gone. Deuces.